Welcome back, friends and scoundrels, to Weird Wolf Unchained. I'm Bran, and I like to talk about horror movies. Today is Movies with My Monsters.
Robbie. Sarah.
And what did we watch today?
Paranormal Activity 4.
Paranormal Activity 4. So, we're going to try something a little bit new today. We're going to do Scary Scale before and a Scary Scale afterwards to see if things change throughout the course of the conversation. How's that sound?
Okay.
So, right now, without talking about it, where do you rate the movie?
For scariness?
For scariness. And that includes all types of scariness, including disturbing.
10.
A 10?
Yeah. I might give it a 5.
A 5? I'd give it like a 3 or a 4. All right. So, overall, what did you think of this movie?
I like it. I like that Robbie and Wyatt are trying to keep Toby a secret, and his name is only mentioned once, but it's still Toby. And we can actually hardly hear his name being said.
Just what Sarah just said. What specifically do you like about it? Overall, not just the specific moment, just the generalities of the movie.
I like that there's a cat, because when the cat jumped up on the thing it shook, and I thought it might have been the demon, but it wasn't. Yeah, it adds a little bit of extra scare to it, because is it Toby or is it the cat?
Yeah. See, I like this one quite a bit because we're following a different family finally.
Well, Hunter's still in it.
Spoilers. But we don't know that necessarily until the end, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, we're following a completely separate family. We're out of California. This is in Nevada. That's a cat. And it's just a little bit refreshing. The camera stuff is interesting, even if it doesn't make much sense. But that's another conversation that I'll have with Ryan. Do you think it was a good story?
Yeah. I think it's a good story because, like what you said with it having another family, so we get to learn new characters, kind of.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's it. Why do you think it was a good story, Ali?
Because we're following a different family, but there's still some of the characters from the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's part of what I like about this. Part of why I think it's an okay story. I don't think it's a good story, but I think it's okay. It's an interesting way to keep the story going with Hunter and Katie. I think they could have done a lot of things better and differently, but it is what it is. It doesn't really play too hard on some of the other lore, so it's not quite as bad in that regard. But like I've said before, I don't like the cult stuff. I don't like the coven stuff. It's takes it too far for me.
Oh, we learned something new about the lore. There's stages for the host. First, they have to practice using their abilities because they get abilities or something.
And so, you just contradicted me a little bit, and that's fine. I forgot about that. That they do add that aspect of the lore that doesn't go anywhere, doesn't mean anything. So they're talking about preternatural abilities.
Yeah.
But that would be Robbie or Wyatt or whoever having the ability to do something that doesn't seem natural, right? So like they would be able to move things, they would with their mind. They'd be able to read somebody else's mind or just some kind of special power, right?
It does seem like Wyatt is lifting Alex in that one part when she's sleeping. She's been sleeping for a couple of days. It does kind of seem like Wyatt is doing that.
He does go in there. I thought it was Toby, but...
Same.
Did you find it interesting?
Yes. Yeah.
I did too, especially the first watching. So like I said, it is refreshing to have a new family. It's introduces, or it keeps the story going while being slightly disconnected from it. Again, they tried to throw a twist in there for us, and I just think it fell short. But that's story or direction, maybe a little bit of both. Whatever.
At the end, you can definitely tell that Toby probably has a little more possession over Katie.
Oh yeah, because it's been a while. Because the other movies take place in 2006.
Yeah.
And he's 1 year old then, or Hunter's 1 year old then. This one takes place in 2011, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Robbie's 6 years old. This is 5 years later, or around 5 years later. So, I mean, that's a long time to be possessed by something. Do you have anything for interesting?
It's interesting because Katie's unpossessed for a little bit, and I would think that in the end she'd still be unpossessed, but she was possessed again. Yeah, it's a lot of on and off being with the possession.
Well, kinda. I mean, if you pay attention to her in this one, she's got some odd qualities about her, right? The way her posture, the way she moves. She's definitely not fully in control of herself all the time. It's just sometimes Toby is more present in that than other times. Sometimes it's more of a passive possession where he's there telling her to walk, but it doesn't require as much. Whereas attacking somebody, there's going to be a lot more. So like at the end, when she starts charging at Alex and Alex slams the door and she just breaks right through like it's nothing. But in that moment too, you see the demon face.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this movie did a good job of setting things up? So like the scares and story plots and stuff?
Yeah, I think it was set up pretty well. I thought Robbie was gonna be Hunter.
That's a pretty good setup, and that's where I talked about how they tried to set up that twist, right?
Yeah.
And, from the audience standpoint, they do a decent enough job of it, I suppose. Because Robbie's a very weird kid in the beginning. Or, well, all the way throughout, but he's very weird. Like, obviously he's been living with this cult and they've been doing stuff. And he doesn't know how to function with people who aren't in the cult because he doesn't have much interaction with them.
And
but
we
turns
find
out Robbie's just a weird kid.
And in the beginning, when he's playing soccer and we see Robbie, and then we turn and see the soccer game, and then we turn back to where Robbie was at, and he's gone.
It's more of Robbie being weird and creepy.
I have some questions about the size of the entity because in the first one, the shadow was very tall. But in this one, we saw a shadow racing across. It looked like it was the size of Robbie or Wyatt. I'm betting it was Robbie or Wyatt.
No, because you had when they're playing with the Connect. That first time Robbie's down there by himself, and whoosh behind him. You should remember it scared you pretty good.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's part of it though, is that its size and shape is supposed to be ambiguous. Because again, the actual first time with the Connect, you can kind of see it sitting on the couch, and it looks like an adult sitting there, maybe adult-sized thing. There's other times where it seems like it's standing off to the side. So I think it's intentionally ambiguous because it could be whatever size it wants to be. There's the scene where Wyatt's in the Connect scene, or in the Connect infrared, and you see the small or the entity walking up behind him, and it looks like a small child, right?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be like that it can be 6, 7, 8 feet tall, or it could be, 3 or 4 foot tall. It's whatever it wants to be in the moment.
Another thing was that shape, like what we were talking about, it kind of looks human when we see it moving, but with the footprints in the first one, it kind of looked amphibian-like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not just size, it can be whatever shape, too.
Yeah. Anyways, back to things being set up. Is there anything else that you think was set up very well? So, like the chandelier scare, that was a pretty good one. Because we see 2 or 3 times of the chandelier swinging.
And a couple different ones, too.
Before the one almost falls on Alex.
Yeah. I think the chandelier was set up pretty good.
That was something kind of new, too. We haven't seen a chandelier fall yet, have we?
No. The closest thing was the spark in the last movie.
With the light bulb exploding?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that I didn't think was set up very well, was the knife. Because you see the knife go up. Did you catch it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mom goes back to cutting. Was that a pretty tense scene?
Yeah. But it doesn't do it until the dad's in the kitchen.
Well, and this is why I don't think it was set up very well, because it's a very tense scene at first, right? Because you see the knife go up, and you're waiting for it to fall on the mom or something, right?
Yeah.
Waiting for damage to happen to Mom.
Or at least it to zoom away and hover above her while she's at the table.
Well,
something.
That's a moment where in that scene you need to finish what you're setting up, is what I'm trying to get to, okay? Because you see the knife go up, and when I first watched this, I'd almost forgotten about the knife.
When it came down.
By the time the knife finally came down, and that might have been the intention of the scriptwriter and the director. And it was a bad decision because you build up this tension and then nothing comes of it. Like there isn't even a decent scare or anything in that moment. It just moves on. Whereas, if you'd had the knife fall in front of her beforehand, but then again, at that point in the movie, it's too soon also for that to happen because Mom and Dad are not believing Alex. So the payoff wouldn't be the same either, because then you have the mom starting to get on board with Alex. Because now this weird thing has happened and she can't explain it. The other thing about it is, where did the knife go? Did Toby take it off and hide it somewhere until he was ready to bring it back and drop it on the dad? Like, what? It just raises a bunch of really dumb questions that don't need to be asked. Because it would be cool if you saw it sometimes floating around in the back. Like when we're watching a meat dinner and stuff.
Like maybe he's playing with it, waiting for the right moment.
Maybe. Just a little reminder that, hey, this knife's still here. Or just see it, we can see it stuck to the ceiling. But that's kind of dumb too, because do you think you would have noticed it at some point? Just this knife chilling on the ceiling?
Yeah.
I would. These movies are pretty straightforward. Do you think there's any kind of themes that it might be trying to convey?
No. It's kind of hard with scary movies.
Oh, it's not hard with scary movies. It's hard with these movies. Because like I said, they're pretty straightforward. However, this movie did come out in 2011, which was around the time of the NSA spying fiasco. So the NSA is a government agency, National Security Agency. I don't remember. I don't honestly know what NSA stands for. Oddly enough, you'd think I would know that, right?
Yeah.
But it came out that Verizon and AT&T and all these cell phone companies and some internet companies were giving information just freely over to the NSA, and the NSA was bullying some of them into giving them information. So it was this big, huge thing that, oh my God, the U.S. government's spying on its citizens. And so the camera thing in this might have been a little bit of a reflection of that. That's about the only thing I can think of. But that's information that you guys don't know, so it makes sense that you wouldn't think of it. Because what's the camera setup in this one?
Laptops.
But what specifically?
Video chat.
They're always running, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Occasionally she's using her smartphone, or occasionally she's presumed she's using a camcorder, maybe. We don't ever see it.
Or Robbie and Wyatt are playing on them.
Well, like I was trying to say, maybe there's a camcorder, we don't ever actually see it. But she could be using her smartphone because she's got like an iPhone or something. We don't know specifically if there's a laptop. She might just be using her smartphone or her camcorder. But yeah, it's the laptops and not just the laptops. The recording of the chat, which is why I brought up the NSA spying thing, and the constantly running of the laptops and whatever weird camera they set up in the living room. We don't see a whole lot. That's something where this movie kind of falls a little bit short, but it's not a big enough deal for me to break the movie for me.
It's not important?
No. It's weird. I think about it sometimes, but whatever. It is what it is. What do you think of the atmosphere?
I think the atmosphere was good. I like that you have to have all the lights off for the dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sets up a really creepy environment, right?
And the green.
Mm-hmm. And that's the night vision thing. I don't know if you caught that or not, but it's green because of the night vision. Those dots are happening all the time. That's why when they turn the lights on, you can't see it anymore. But when the lights are off, you can see it because they have the night vision on the camera, so it's picking up those infrared beams. What else? I ever think everything in the background that you might have noticed. Sound design.
I think the chandeliers are set up a good atmosphere because those are definitely very hazardous.
Yeah.
Especially with a demon in your house. Which we, as the audience, know is going to happen.
Well, we know that they're going to swing at least. I mean, it happens early in the movie, and it happens multiple times. So...
Ooh, the cat sets up a good atmosphere, too, because is it the cat? Is it Toby?
That definitely plays with the atmosphere a little bit. Because there's a few scares in the beginning that are a direct result of the cat.
Because the cat could have turned on the train. Yeah.
Possible.
Because our cat knows how to turn on the air conditioner. Yeah.
Kinda. He does know how to turn on my lamp because it's touch. He knows that if he bops his nose on or boops his nose on it, it'll turn it on. He does. I was gonna say the sound. I think they make pretty good use of the sound. The kind of growling sound that these movies are known for.
Yeah. It doesn't use the footsteps a lot in this one.
No, and that's okay. I think maybe he uses them a little bit wrong sometimes. Like, well, maybe, I don't know. Because a lot of times Toby stomps or whatnot when he wants people to pay more attention than they are. But one of the other things with the growling sound is you kind of get it the one time when when Alex is talking to her Ben and he's breaking up on their video chat and it goes kind of quiet and you're not expecting anything. He just grabs her and rips her off the bed.
Yeah.
Because they don't use the growling sound, but you have this breaking up of the video and is that Toby messing with it? What's going on here? And then all of a sudden she gets dragged away and it's like, what is going on?
And then we find out it's Ben.
More background stuff. Did you notice the cat clock?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and how it wasn't swinging that one time?
Yep. But then I tried paying a lot of attention to it and it seems like it stops at one point. Just stops altogether.
Yeah, I was paying a lot of attention to it too because I was expecting it to stop.
I know, and there were moments where I couldn't tell if it was moving or not, or if it just stopped altogether. But also with her bead curtain, there's a couple times where the beads in the background are swaying, even though nobody's gone through them or anything.
I think a good use of the footsteps was with the toys. When Toby was making the trap thing.
Yeah. See, that's one of the ones that kind of bothers me, but I kind of went into maybe it's because she wasn't being as active as he wanted. Because he had done some stuff and she wasn't committing to going and looking until he started stomping around.
I whispered, it's a trap to myself when that happened because I knew it was going to be a trap. At the exact time that I thought he wanted her to go in that direction.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Just like in the first one, he wanted them to find the picture.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he definitely wanted her to go investigate and go into that room. And she wasn't, so I think that's why he did the stomping.
And the toy trail?
Well, he set that up and she wasn't committing to going to it. So he stomped and that forced her to go investigate further. We can go ahead and go there with this. Was there a character that you felt you could relate to?
I could relate to Robbie because Robbie has a lot of toys. And
Robbie or Wyatt?
Wyatt.
Okay.
And a lot of those toys were toys that I would have. Like, I saw a dinosaur toy, and he had army men.
So he seems to have a lot of interests that you have?
Yeah.
So is there anything for this movie that you would fix to make it better?
I'd fix the knife thing. It's either that it's not noticeable when Toby's moving around with the dots, or it's not in there a lot, so I would fix that.
Well, I think that's intentional, though, and I'm going to say it's okay. If it's a thing for you, might not be. I noticed off to, as we're viewing it, the right-hand side, over by the dining area in the kitchen, it seemed like there was stuff moving around there a lot of times. I don't know if you caught that or not, but
I was looking in the living room.
I was trying to pay attention to that this time since I'd already watched this.
Yeah, I was paying attention to that, and I was like, I saw once maybe by the chandelier or something, but I wasn't quite sure.
And can make it a little bit creepier because you're not sure. What were you trying to say, Robbie?
I thought the things moving around in the background were, I thought it was the knife, but then I was like, no, it can't be the knife, because it was more than one thing, but to me at first, I thought it was just moving so fast that it looked like more than one thing.
It's possible, it's hard to say. There's a lot I'd fix with this movie. I'll probably talk about that more when I talk to Ryan about it. Sometime in the near future. What was the scariest part?
Probably the part when she breaks through the door.
Yeah.
Or the part at the very, very, very end.
Which part at the very, very end?
The closing scene.
With all the coven women?
Yeah, and then it turns to her. The end part in Katie's house.
The whole sequence?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there wasn't really anything that stuck out to me. The part that could have been the scariest would have been the knife. I was also maybe expecting an accidental cutting by the mom, which is something that a lot of times bothers me. But it just, nothing stood out as a really good. I don't think even the first time any jump scares really got me or anything. Which is why, do you think this movie was as scary as 3?
No, I thought to me, they're getting scarier and scarier and scarier.
This one was scarier than 3 for you?
Yeah, and 3 was scarier than 2, and 2 was scarier than 1. Not really. I mean, Katie looks way scarier at the end than in the other ones.
They definitely focus on that a lot more.
When Toby has complete control.
See, I don't think this one's as scary because it doesn't do as many things that... Now, my experience being scared is going to be different than yours because a lot of the things that scare me in 3, you might not think about. But I like the tension-building stuff a lot more. And there's a lot of stuff that could be really scary that they dropped the ball on.
Something to add to that, maybe we have different scare experiences is because not a lot of things scare you, and we haven't watched a lot of scary movies. But you have, and you've watched these over and over and over again.
Well, I haven't watched these over and over again. This is only the second time I've watched this one.
But you still watch them multiple times.
There are. And, there's certain things that, even though I watched them multiple times, like, you guys know Independence Day, right?
No.
With Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum, the alien invasion.
Yes. No. I remember.
You've watched it. I know you've watched it. You might not remember it. So the aliens have the exoskeleton and it opens up.
Yeah.
That used to scare me all the time. Every time I watched it for a long time, that scene always got me even though I knew it was coming.
I remember that from a trailer I watched off Mom's computer. And then it took that guy and it started mind controlling him. And then he started firing at the glass.
Yeah.
And it was all foggy inside the room, and it just popped, and he just popped, and the guy just popped up in the alien's arms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we talked about it, did your scary scale change?
No.
Now
No.
mine's an 8.
Yours is an 8?
Yeah.
Maybe mine
See.
went up by 1 point.
Up by 1 point?
Yeah.
Why? How?
I thought a little bit more about the Atmos. I've been thinking a little more about the atmosphere, and at the end.
Okay.
Seriously? You made me think about the atmosphere, and now I'm at 11.
Well, there is no such thing as 11 on this scale.
But now I'm back to 10.
All right. So, this is the last Paranormal Activity we're gonna watch for a while, because I don't really care to watch the next two. I think next time might try to do a double header, because the one movie's only like an hour long. Nah, maybe we'll wait for it. We'll wait. I want you guys to watch it just because I want to see what you guys think of it. But I think we'll watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a slasher movie. All right. So thank you for listening. Rate and review, comment, share it around, do all those things based on where you're listening. We're on 9 places. Your more popular podcatchers is where you can find this. There's also a YouTube channel that's audio only. Thanks for listening again. I'm Brad.
Sarah.
Robbie?
And toodles.
Bye.